So if you've been skiing in the resort and want to get into the backcountry, you've probably signed up for an Avalanche course because you're smart. Well, you need to make sure you're ready to become a backcountry skier first. Well, I got 3 tips for you today to help you prepare for your Avalanche course so you will get the most out of it. We're going to explore 3 areas to help you prepare for your first Avalanche course and be ready to learn as much as possible during it. I'm Travis. I am an AIARE instructor. I am also a PSIA Level 2 Alpine instructor. And today I'm being joined by my friend, Andy.
Hey, I'm Andy. I'm an AISI Level 3 snowboard instructor.
Today we're going to help you with being able to ride well in preparation for your Avalanche course. So you're getting ready to become a backcountry skier. One of the first things is you're going to want to get used to the new equipment. Our backcountry gear is quite a bit different than the type of gear we're going to be using inbounds. The boots are different, the skis are different. The boots, they are generally going to be lighter. They're going to have a walk mode on them compared to a typical alpine boot, and the soles will probably be a bit different as well. The skis, they also tend to be lighter, but you can run a heavier ski in the backcountry. The big difference is going to be the bindings, whereas I might use a touring specific binding as compared to an alpine binding. Touring bindings may use pins instead of compression, like an alpine binding, to hold the boot in place. And there might be a hybrid where you might have an alpine style heel with a pin style toe. And there are many variations on this on the market. And there are such things as frame bindings, where it takes an alpine binding, puts it onto a pivoting frame that you can connect and disconnect to walk uphill or put it into downhill mode. Alpine boot, no walk mode, stiff, heavy, meant to go in an alpine binding. Touring boot, I will have generally tech inserts and a walk mode, which will lock the cuff in or allow it to pivot for range of motion. And these are generally lighter. I also recommend taking your touring gear to the resort and spending time skiing or riding on it. This will help you get used to how it performs, how it may be different than your other skis or snowboards that you've become accustomed to. And over time, you will get used to riding these different setups. After you kind of get used to how all your gear works, your boots, your bindings, your skins, you want to practice transitioning. Because if you are efficient at your transition, that'll save more time for skiing, eating snacks, and taking care of yourself. So now, transition montage. Being efficient at transitioning comes from practice. As you can see here, I have practiced this many times and kind of have a system down. Feel free to practice this inside your own house. You can do it in your yard or just on a random snow slope. You don't have to be out ski touring. Some tips I have for getting efficient at transitions are: 1, to practice the transition the same way every time. Develop a system that works for you and your equipment. So whether that is taking your skis or split board off to do the transition, or to keep them on if your bindings allow, get comfortable doing the same thing over and over. Don't be afraid to experiment with the order in which you do these things. For me, my preferred order is I will take one ski, transition the binding, then transition the boot, and the final step is taking the skins off for a downhill transition. And for my split boarder friends, you want to make sure that you also practice these transitions just as much, if not more. You have many more steps in your transition than your skier friends, and you don't want to keep them waiting too long. Some common pitfalls that happen with split boarding is you'll get snow bound up either in your pucks or where your boards come together. So make sure we're clearing that snow out to allow a smooth and seamless transition.
Also, making sure that everything is attached well to your board before going out into the field is a great way to make sure that everything is aligned. I've come across many people whose screws on their split boards have started coming loose and things don't align up quite as well. So checking our equipment before going out in the field is essential. The final tip is for those of you that have a split board or ski bindings that have parts that come on or off during the transition. Make sure that you remember those parts at the beginning of the day and that you know where they are in your backpack. This will lead you to finding them quicker and not having to dig through our entire pack to find one little part.
Besides getting to know your gear, such as your boots and skis, we want to also know how to pack all of our equipment to go on a ski tour for an avalanche course. One of the most helpful tools is a dedicated ski pack, but a dedicated ski pack will help you carry all of your gear efficiently and allow you to access it in a very effective manner. A few notes about a ski pack. One, they'll have a place generally to carry your helmet. They may have back panel access to all of your gear, which is very handy. And my favorite reason for carrying a dedicated ski pack is they tend to have a dedicated rescue pocket in which I can keep my probe and my shovel and maybe a few other items. And so I can access this stuff very quickly when it's needed. So if you do have a dedicated ski pack, one thing that you should try to leave at home is the sleeve that your probe comes in. These can be handy if you have a pack that does not have the dedicated rescue pocket, but in the rescue pockets, they generally have a nice slot for keeping our equipment nice, neat, and organized. Now, if I do have a pack that doesn't have a dedicated rescue pocket, I will generally leave my probe in this sheath, and I'll put this in the main body of the pack in a place that is very accessible and quick. This will keep the probe from getting tangled in with all my other gear if I need to deploy it quickly. One piece of equipment that I am going to leave at home are extra things that go with my skins, like these protective sheets. These are very easy to get lost and they can blow away, and they just make transitioning more fiddly. So these I leave at home. We don't need those. Instead, I will take my skins when they are needing to go in my pack. I'll simply just fold them in half and make sure the glue is touching each other, and then I fold them again, and possibly an extra time, and those will just get placed in my pack. So you might be wondering, besides my rescue gear and my skins, what else should I pack for an avalanche course? Well, some common things would be extra pairs of gloves. I bring sunglasses, which are on my head, but bring the case for them in case you want to switch to your goggles. I will also bring my goggles. If the conditions get really gross out, these will beat sunglasses any day. I like to bring a small repair kit. This helps me fix my bindings or boots or anything like that in the field if I were to have an issue. And generally, your instructors will also have a repair kit. I'll make sure I have plenty of food and water. So generally, a liter for me is good. You can also bring a thermos with a hot drink, which is definitely nice on those cold days. Clothing. So I'll bring a warm beanie. I will probably bring a shell. I will have a puffy jacket, along with a few other insulating layers. I also like to bring an extra pair of gloves in case my main pair get wet. And a lot of times, if we're touring a lot, I will get warm. So I like to bring a thin pair of gloves for the uphill. That way my other gloves stay dry and don't get sweaty. Also, some ski straps are nice. These are super helpful for strapping things to my pack, fixing problems with my boots or my skis if I have them. I also like to bring some stuff to care for blisters, such as some tape, padded tape, or moleskin, and a small first aid kit is very helpful. I also tend to ski with a helmet, so I make sure to bring it with me most days when I'm out in the field. Again, this is where that nice helmet holder comes in handy. That way it's not taking up space in my pack. So our third topic is being able to ride or ski the appropriate terrain for an avalanche course. So to be able to take an avalanche course, you should be able to ride blue intermediate terrain with a pack on off-piste. Because in avalanche courses, we are generally not getting into gnarly terrain, but we are getting into sometimes some steeper terrain, and surface conditions can vary from like super light powder to breakable crust to bullet ice. So you need to be able to ski in these different conditions. And the biggest thing is our stance. And one of the big things that a pack does to our skiing and riding is it moves our center of mass into a different place than we might be used to. So for skiers, generally have a stance similar to what I'm showing now, where my weight is towards the front of my foot. You know, I'm bending my ankles, my knees, and my hips, and getting here. And then when you put a pack on, it adds more weight to your back and shifts your center of mass backwards. So we got to compensate for it. So I need to flex my ankles more, move my hips further forward, and extend my knees. What I see a lot in the backcountry are people not engaging their ankles, bending their knees too much, and sitting like this. So they lose all control over their skis when they're skiing in whether it's awesome powder or really cruddy snow. So remember, engage the ankles, don't bend the knees too much, keep the hips forward. One other thing that having a pack on your back will do, besides moving your center of mass behind you, is it adds extra mass away from your axis of rotation. So I have to have really good upper body discipline, because if I'm turning my body like this, that extra weight's gonna keep throwing me around. So if I don't have good control of my upper body, and I start turning like this, it throws my balance way off, and I don't ski as well. But if I have good upper body discipline, I keep that pack more stable, and my whole body more balanced.
Here you can see me demonstrating skiing from what we call the back seat, where my weight is back and on my heels. I'm having to make really sharp turns, kind of losing my balance on almost every turn, and swinging my arms around to help get the skis around the turn. And compared to a good demonstration shown here, most of everything is happening down in my legs. I am allowing the skis to turn easily just by being in a better stance.
When we're riding our snowboard in a balanced and athletic stance, you'll notice my ankles, knees, and hips are all flexed. My back is straight and balanced over the board. Pretty centered. When I'm on my toe edge, I move that weight over the toe edge. And same thing for the heels. Just shift that weight over the heels. It's a little bit different with the pack on though. When we're riding with our pack, you'll notice I've got a lot more weight behind me, which is going to automatically bring that center of balance over the heel edge. In order to adjust for that, we want to really flex those knees and bring our hips or our pelvic bone over the toes more than we normally would in order to counteract that heavy weight on our back.
So here's Andy demonstrating what happens when we don't engage into our stance properly on a snowboard. He is favoring his heel side turns, and he's also having to use his upper body to help bring the board around throughout the turn, way out of balance. Compare that when he is in balance over his board. He's making smooth, even turns on both his heel and toe side, and is not having to use his upper body to move through the turns.
One thing, besides being able to ski well in bounds, that was going to be helpful for you in traveling in the backcountry, is getting used to sliding down small slopes with your skins on in walk mode, or for split boarders, split skiing with your ski skins on. And so here I'm at a resort, gonna be just going down a nice easy little slope here, getting used to skiing with my heels not attached and with skins on. You will find for skiers and split boarders, you're probably gonna put a bit more weight on the heels than normal, but you just wanna try to maintain a nice balanced stance the entire time. And you will find that the skins provide quite a bit more resistance than not having skins on, which is actually kind of helpful because it's scary to slide without your heels in. Same for split boarders. They should get used to sliding on 2 sticks instead of 1 board sometimes. And here it's nice to utilize just some simple wedge turns if you do need to turn around objects or terrain. And the best way to get prepared for your avalanche course is to hire a good ski or snowboard instructor to help you learn those movements that'll help you succeed in the backcountry. Another great way to prepare for your first avalanche course is to take an intro to touring course with a local guide service that you trust. I thought that was hilarious.